So once again, we have reached the end of yet another KC Cup, meaning, as per usual, we're going to be getting another ban list very, very soon. Honestly, I thought we'd be getting one either today or yesterday, so the fact we don't have one yet means I have no content to make, so you've got this video instead. So we've got a ban list prediction to be doing. So honestly, it's kind of, I'm umming whether or not to actually make this video, purely because the ban list should be pretty predictable, like for most people, at least what decks are going to be on there. Let's be real here, we're in a tier 0 format for a deck that's been around for a little while now, not too long, it's still pretty new, but it's been around for a little while, meaning Konami's likely to be looking at it. Mech Knight, on the other hand, is going to be a bit of a hard one, and these are the two main decks, because if you don't know already, when Konami does ban lists for Duel Links, they most of the time look at the KC Cup results. That's 90% of where their ban lists come from. So if you look at the current KC Cup results, it's pretty self-explanatory of what the ban list is going to look like. We've got a, well, actually the first place decks is playing some interesting stuff, playing some Code Talker with some Mech Knight, but then after that, you'll notice, a salad player. 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 And yeah, you get the picture. He's actually a bit of a unique deck list. But you'll get the picture. Most of these deck lists are going to be salad. And the ones that aren't are actually generally going to be Mech Knight. So the format at the moment is generally a 2-deck format by the looks of things. And the funny thing about the 2-deck format is, it's a 2-deck format where they can actually be played with each other. Mech Knights can actually be played with the salad cards, so it's an interesting one, but it should be fairly easy to predict what's going to be hit. So there's a few decks I think will be hit. The most notable ones are obviously going to be Salad and Mech Knight, but there's a couple of other ones we'll talk about later. Let's start with the obvious one, so Salamangreat. Now Salamangreat is an extremely weird deck to ban, because it's kind of a first of its kind in Duel Links, where majority of the deck is actually just one-ofs. Because you'll notice, 1 times majority of the time. 1 times, well, you have to run one of this. 1 times, 1 times, 1 times, 1 times, 1 times. You get the picture. Most people are only playing one-ofs. So trying to limit cards in this deck list is really hard. The main things that they'll target are going to be, of course, the extra deck, because these cards, although they're ultra rare, they're actually only drops or level up rewards. I think Banlist is probably the main one, being only a drop. So putting limits on this card and putting limits on things like your Salamangreat Circle are highly likely, because Salamangreat Circle is the only 3 of in this deck list, and it's also only an SR. Because as we know, Konami don't like touching ultra rares from main boxes or from mini boxes. They just don't like touching ultra rares from boxes. So everything else is pretty fair game. The other thing we know is Konami hate when top tier deck lists are running the Limit 2 cards and the Limit 3 cards. So I highly suspect the first bans we'll be seeing for this deck list, or the first limits we'll be seeing for this deck list, will highly likely be a Limit 2 and a Limit 3 placed somewhere, just to remove the econs and to remove the compulsories and the crackdowns. As although these things say there's only 2 in 29% and 1 in 30%, if you look at the actual stats, there's actually like 2 times in 40%, and this one's got 1 times in 24%, 3 times in 8%. Generally, if you add them all up, about 50%, if not more, of the deck list you'll find, especially in the actual KC Cup, you'll find are running at least 1 or 2 of these, if not more. So you'll find most deck lists are running these cards, and Konami probably doesn't like that. So the most likely outcome, I think, is going to be a Limit 2 and a Limit 3. And the cards that are going to be targeted will be your Salamangreat Circle and probably Banlist, but it could also be Wolf as well. If they put like a Limit 2 on these cards, you have to run 2 of these. In Salamangreat, if you're not running 2 of this, you're trolling, so you have to run 2 of this at least. So putting Limit 2 on this would mean that Econ is completely removed from the deck list. You cannot run it. Likewise, if they put this at Limit 3, it would mean you'd have to run only 1 of these or 1 of these. You cannot run any less, because you can't, or any more. So you cannot run less than 2 Banlist. That's actually trolling. The other option is putting a Limit 3 on Salamangreat Circle, but I think it's probably more likely they'll put the Limit 2 on Salamangreat Circle, so the deck list actually loses a little bit of consistency on top of just removing the power cards. So I think those are the most likely hits. A Limit 2 on this, and a Limit 3 on Banlist. That's probably what will happen, that's in my prediction anyway. Alright, the next thing they'll be hit, we've got Mech Knights. Now Mech Knights are brand new, and we know from experience, Konami doesn't like hitting brand new cards. So this is a extremely hard deck list to hit. But I think, judging by just how dominant it was in KC Cup, they won't want this deck, especially they don't want this deck being played with Salad. So I think there'll be a limit in here somewhere to try to accompanied with the Salamangreat players, so you can't really play them together anymore. So if there's a limit 2 or 3 in there, putting limit 3 in here will probably just mean they can't be played together. So even just limiting one of your SRs to 2 or limiting it to 3 would just mean that it can't be played with Salad anymore, which might be an option. So after I had finished recording this, someone in my Discord kindly pointed out that World Legacy Secrets is currently limited to 1, meaning if we just took Gazelle or Roar, which is also currently cards that are technically limited to 1, just without the limit, and just slapped a limit 1 on either of them, it wouldn't affect Salad in any way, and it would just take Mech Knight out of Salad. So that's another way of doing it, probably the better way of doing it, so yeah. But other than that, they're probably not going to do too much this deck list, sadly, just because it's brand new, so expect this deck list to be pretty dominant still and very likely to just not be touched. I'm thinking the most likely things are, like I said, some limit 2 or 3 somewhere just to try to remove it from Salad. They're not even playing very many power cards. Some of them are playing Crackdown, some of them are not even bothering, so it's really, yeah, it's kind of awkward. I guess there also might be some interesting things they could do to skills maybe, but the skills are it's just not going to happen. I just don't think this deck is likely to be hit at all. Maybe they do something to... They can't even hit Rescue Rabbits or Avrams, because people aren't even playing that in some of the lists. Look how many... There's so many in the KC Cup. A lot of them are just playing that other dude. I'm hoping this list has it. Nope. Just proving me wrong, of course. We'll find one. A lot of the lists are just playing things like... Yeah, this dude, Psy Reflector or Swap Cleric. So there's this deck is really damn hard to hit, and I don't think it's likely to be hit yet. Yeah, so I think this deck list probably won't be touched. It would be nice if it got touched, and there's ways they could hit it. For example, the 97% use of a rare card is highly red flags for getting hit, but it's a very new deck, so I'd be surprised. If they were going to hit anything, they might put this to 3 or put this to 2 to try to get it away from Salad, although I don't think Salad's even playing World Legacy Memory, so who knows what they're doing. I don't even know what they're going to do with this deck list. Probably not touch it. The other 2 deck lists in here that have a very high chance of being hit, just because they had huge KC Cup presence, was Odd Eyes and Galaxy Eyes. And we'll talk about Galaxy Eyes in a second. So, Odd Eyes, just like the last one, I'm actually not too sure what they've hit in this one, just because, well, with this deck list specifically, I don't play Pendulum, so I don't really play this deck list that much, so I don't know what the main hitters are. Most of the deck list is ultra rare, which is really hard for Konami to deal with. And I think there's a good chance to be hit just because it's been played a bunch. There's a bunch of KC Cup results, and it's getting a little bit old now. But because it's not super relevant, it probably won't be anything too harsh if they do anything to it. Maybe they'll just try to limit the Donkey to 2 and call it a day. Just maybe with something as simple as that. But then again, a lot of people are even only playing it at 2 anyway, so it won't do anything, but I don't know. There's not a whole lot they can hit in here. The Joker's an option, because that's actually a level up reward, and the Donkey, so maybe they'll make it so that you can't really play these 2 together. Maybe put some limit 3s here or limit 2s here somewhere. But in general, maybe even just a skill hit. I don't know. It depends if Konami even like this deck too much. I'm not sure if Konami want people spending money on this deck anymore, if they want people to move on to new decks or not. So there's a lot of ultra rares in here. So I don't know. Konami might actually like this deck sticking around. The other one is Galaxy Eyes. So Galaxy Eyes is getting really old now. It's getting quite old. And Konami don't want you saving your money, you know? They want you keeping to play the same decks over and over. They want you buying their new shit. So Galaxy Eyes, despite not even being tiered anymore, had quite a bit of presence in the KC Cup, as far as I remember. I think there was 4 or 5 lists, if the website will load. Come on. Any minute now. I guess we'll just cut this part out of the video. Thanks, Konami. There we go. Alright, so there was 3 or 4 topping deck lists, so I think Konami don't want this deck list around anymore. I'd be surprised if they want you to keep playing this list. So I think there might be some slight adjustments to this one. Most notably, I think there's a high chance of the Monster Reborn being removed. I think just easily putting this card to 1 would just remove Monster Reborn, because everyone's running this at 1 anyway. So put it to 1, Monster Reborn's gone, and that'll probably be a nice little hit that won't really affect the deck too much, but I do think Konami want to weaken this in some way, because they don't want you playing the same stuff repeatedly for months. They want you to move on to their new packs. So I I wouldn't be too shocked if something happens to Galaxy Eyes. Maybe even they hate it so much, they just kill the skill, do something ridiculous, they make it so that you have to run 10 Galaxy monsters, not just cards. Something absolutely ridiculous, and I wouldn't surprise me in the slightest, just because, yeah, they want you buying their new packs. And other than that, I think the actual meta, because it's just a 2-deck format, is probably pretty safe. I think most other deck lists are just not going to be touched, so expect a Salamangreat hit, a Mech Knight maybe, and that's really it. The Odd Eyes might happen, the Galaxy Eyes might happen, but in the end of the day, those 2 deck lists are fairly weak. The only reason they might get hit is because they're getting a little bit old now. Alright guys, that's going to do it for my ban list predictions. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Especially if you're a returning viewer, since most people that watch my videos are actually people who have seen other content of mine before. So you find yourself, keep coming back to the channel, want to see more content just like this in the future. Remember to leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, hope to see you guys in the next one. Hopefully the next one will be the actual ban list video, so yeah. Or ban list live stream. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.